and welcome to my draft analysis for the NPL Miners Season 4. As you can see in the top middle with my very professional doctoring of the Majors draft thingamabob. Yeah, super professional here. You can see my number one pick immediately right here is Megalopony. This is a mon that I've been wanting to try for a very long time after seeing Monotui just destroy with it, and I've seen it used well in many other cases as well. It just has blazing fast speed and priority to boot. Hits very hard, has near perfect coverage, I want to say. It's just an amazing mon for this format. Not the most versatile, but it really doesn't need it. There are definitely there's like a little bit of versatility you can have with this, for sure. And I'm excited to do that. I've mentioned multiple times that speed is my favorite stat when it comes to Draft League, and so yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to base this draft around a mon that was super fast, and it can force a lot of scarfs, which can obviously limit the usefulness of that Pokemon. Say if you switch in to something that resists it, and then it can't go for a coverage move it may have had. So, yeah. If you can't tell, I am very tired right now. It's like 5 a.m. and I thought, perfect time to record draft analysis and probably other stuff after this too. So, yeah. Next up, we have Zapdos. Zapdos, I just thought paired really well with Lopunny, typing wise, and adds Volt Switch to be able to get Lopunny in freely in many situations. I feel like it works well. Zapdos is a very versatile Pokemon, with its ability to go either offensive or more bulky / defensive. It has some decent coverage, with Hidden Power Ice and Heat Wave and all that. It has a pretty good speed considering it's typically used as a more bulky mon. So yeah, I feel like there's some things you can do with that. It can be very hard to kill at times. With Roost, you just gotta watch out for earthquakes when you do that, of course. Yeah, not too much more to say about that, I guess. Next up, we have Alolan Muck. This is a mon, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but this is a mon I've wanted to use ever since I saw Verd and Gypsy use it in the previous season of Minors and Majors. And it just seems like an amazing mon. I mean, it's bulky, it has fantastic typing, only weak to ground, and despite being a dark type is a pretty good way to deal with fairies, which are a pretty big threat right now. Knockoff spam is always nice. Get rid of those items. The curse set for this is really good. Shucka Berry can be put on it basically every week if you wanted to, because that's the only way you're hitting it super effectively, and you can take away that way to deal with it. So it's a card, and I'm very excited to be using it this season. Next up, we have Donphan. Donphan is just a good Pokemon to have for different roles, mainly Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin. I always want to have at least one Rapid Spinner and at least one Defogger on a team, and so to be able to get those roles filled within the first 4 picks is very nice. And I feel like you can almost never have too many Stealth Rockers. Stealth Rocks is an amazing move, and Donphan is probably one of the best users of both Stealth Rocks and Rapid Spin. But there's also a lot more that you can do with Donphan. You know, I've seen a Rock Polish set put in work before. You can go Assault Vest. It has like decent coverage with Gunk Shot and Knockoff and a whole bunch of other things it can do. Ice Shard. Generally though, it's just a great defensive mon. Rocky Helmet is really good for when you're trying to deal with things that make contact and just kind of take hits from those. It's very nice. Next up we have Celebi. Celebi is one of those mons that I've wanted to draft for a long time, and then I always end up seeing a different psychic type or different grass type, and I'm like, ooh, let's go with that. And then I feel like I just don't need the double typing, so I end up not going with Celebi. Like, I've thought about drafting Celebi in probably like 2 or 3 different drafts before this one, and you know, at this point I didn't have a psychic, I didn't have a grass. I said, let's go for Celebi. It's I feel like it's very often underrated in draft format just because of its high amount of weaknesses and a weakness to U-turn. I think it can be a very good discount, like Mew sort of thing. Like, it's basically like a grass type discount Mew. It gets a lot of different things it can do, and with those base 100 stats across the board, you can really tailor it to do whatever you want. You can go offensive, you can go Scarf, Specs, even Band, you know, physical, and of course like very defensive and Subseed. You know, you can do whatever you want with Celebi, and I really like that. As long as you can play around its weaknesses, it can be an extremely useful Pokemon. Next up we have Volcanion, which is my Z move user. Volcanion, I'm not really sure about, to be honest. I didn't really plan on drafting it going in, and I was like, at this point, you know, I didn't have a fire type, I didn't have a water type, I didn't really have a Z move user in mind, and I still don't really know much about Z moves, or as in like the best of users of those, but you know, I've seen Z Volcanion before, and I feel like there's more things that I can do with it than just what I've seen. You know, what I've seen is basically Z Solar Beam, and that seems pretty good, but I think there is more potential in its move pool to do some other things with Z moves. So I'm very excited to use Volcanion. Steam Eruption is just a powered up Scald, which is really nice. Gets some coverage it can work with, like Sludge Wave. It's fairly slow, and I feel like that's going to be my biggest concern with Volcanion. But if I can mitigate that, run like a Scarf or something, it can hopefully put in some work for me. Next up we have Frostlass. Frostlass, I feel, is another one of those Pokemon that is very underrated in draft format, because everyone always thinks of it as like, oh, a Spike stacking lead, or it's gonna Thunder Wave me and Destiny Bond and all those, you know, different status moves. But people really forget that Frostlass has base 110 speed, has 2 of the best offensive typings in the game, and get some other coverage to boot with that, probably. And just, I feel like people really underrate it offensively, and like a Scarf or a Specs variant can really put in work some of these battles. So yeah, I'm excited to use it in both those roles, in the status and offensive role. So better be on the lookout for that. Next up, we have Registeel. Registeel is just an all-around solid steel type. You know, I needed a steel type at this point. Stealth Rockers, I only had Donphan and Celebi, so it gives me another Stealth Rocker, which is nice. Just very bulky, very able to take those hits, which is nice. And it can also do some status with Thunder Waves and things like that. It has its own curse set. Yeah, just different things you can do with Registeel. Should be fun to use. It was very annoying when I had to face Matty Relic in the majors. He used it very well that season, so hopefully I can do the same. Next up, we have Gardevoir. Gardevoir I felt was just one of the better fairies that was still around, and I didn't really have a Wish Passer, so I mean, Gardevoir usually isn't used in the role of Wish Passing, but it can do that, and generally speaking, I like to have the roles of something on my team. Even if it's not the best at what it does, I like to have the option available to me. And I feel like that was probably a mistake, to be honest. These last 3 months that I draft, I'm not very happy with, and I completely plan on changing them out in free agency. Not to say that I dislike the Mons, but I feel like there are ones that fit my team better. Gardevoir is a good Pokemon. I got swept with it in Minors Season 1, so yeah, I know its potential. It can be, it's another one of those mons that can be offensive or more bulky defensive with like Calm Mind and stuff. And like I said, it can run Wish. It also gets those different kinds of status moves that it can use. Just a versatile mon, but I feel like it's probably not worth those 10 points that I spent on it. And there's something with more value that I plan on trading it out for in free agency. Next up, we have Ariados. So at this point, the last mon that I have to draft was basically locked down because everyone else already had the type that it was, and I didn't think anyone else would want it, so it just made more sense to draft Ariados first. And the reason I drafted Ariados, well, for one, Shuckle got sniped from me, but that's not too big of a deal. And you may be asking, like, why do you want Sticky Web? You have Mega Lopunny, which is like the fastest thing in the game, and you have a bunch of like kind of slow things like Alolan Muck and Registeel. You know, Volcanion and Gardevoir and Celebi can make use of it. Zapdos if it's more offensive. Frostus is already decently fast. So like Sticky Web isn't like the absolute best fit for my team, and I completely understand that. But basically the roles that I needed filled on my team were already complete. There really wasn't much more that I needed. With the combination of the final mon that I get, Shuckle would have given me every single type in the game on my team. So I feel like I just didn't really need very much more. And so what was one role I didn't have? Well, Sticky Web. That's one thing I didn't have, so might as well pick it up. I could possibly use it in some games. And Ariados isn't terrible on its own. I mean, it's kind of bad, but I feel like it can maybe do something offensively. I'm pretty sure it gets Baton Pass. Maybe it'll Baton Pass something into something. I don't know. We'll just have to see. And lastly, we pick up Noivern. Noivern is another one of those Pokemon that I feel is underrated in draft format. Another Mon with very, very good speed. And I feel like having a special attacker with high speed pairs very well with having Megalopony, the physical attacker with high speed. I feel like it's good to have both a physical and special attacker that can fulfill the role of high speed, I guess. And you know, Draco Meteors are gonna hurt. It gets Switcheroo for a like specs set that I may want to run. You know, Noivern, probably not the most versatile when I think about it, but I feel like it's underrated enough where it can be a sleeper and maybe able to pull out some surprises in the weeks that I have it. So yeah, that's basically it for this draft analysis. I hope you enjoyed. UBC battle I'll be recording right after this and should be up on the same day as this, I believe. So look forward to that. See you then.